There comes a moment in life when people who have wronged you suddenly realize what they've lost. In that fleeting instant, they feel regret. They begin to remember the value you brought into their lives, the loyalty, the support, the love. But here's the truth. When someone walks away from you or betrays your trust, it is not your responsibility to be the safety net they fall back on. When someone mistreats you, undervalues you, or disrespects you, it can shake your sense of worth. Yet, this is precisely the moment when you must recognize your value more than ever before. It's easy to feel defeated or question what you did wrong when someone you cared for decides to walk away. You may find yourself replaying conversations, analyzing moments, and wondering if there was something you could have done differently. But let me remind you of something crucial. How someone treats you is a reflection of them, not of you. Your self-worth is not negotiable. It is not up for discussion, nor is it dependent on anyone else's opinion of you. When you truly know your worth, you set standards for how others should treat you. You understand that respect, loyalty, and love are not just things you give freely, they are privileges that must be earned. People will try to convince you otherwise. They'll tell you that mistakes happen, that no one is perfect, and that everyone deserves forgiveness. While these statements may hold some truth, knowing your worth means understanding that certain actions cross a line, a boundary that should never be crossed. Once someone disrespects your boundaries, there is no going back. Your value is intrinsic. It exists whether others acknowledge it or not. It is built over time through your experiences, struggles, achievements, and the love you give to yourself. So when someone regrets losing you, it's because they finally recognize what they had. But recognizing your value after losing you doesn't automatically grant them another chance. Often people don't appreciate what's in front of them until it's gone. They take your kindness, loyalty, and efforts for granted because they assume you'll always be there. But when you finally step back and reclaim your worth, that's when they start to see what they've lost. Suddenly, they come running back, full of apologies, regrets, and promises to change. And this is where knowing your worth becomes vital. Regret does not equate to respect. Just because someone misses you doesn't mean they've learned to value you. More often than not, regret stems from selfishness. They regret losing the comfort you provided, the consistency, the love, and the support. But those are things you should never have to beg for. If someone could only recognize your value after hurting you, then they never truly respected you in the first place. They didn't miss you, they missed the benefits of having you around. That's not love, it's convenience. And convenience is not enough reason to give someone another chance. Knowing your worth means standing firm in your decision not to take them back. This isn't about being cold-hearted or unforgiving, it's about protecting your energy, your peace, and your heart. When you accept someone back who didn't appreciate you the first time, you send a message that you're willing to tolerate mistreatment. You lower your standards to accommodate their shortcomings, and in doing so, you betray yourself. Self-worth demands that you don't compromise your standards for anyone, no matter how much they regret their actions. People who truly recognize your worth won't need a second chance to get it right. They won't need to lose you to understand your value. They will treat you with respect from the beginning. They will see your worth in how you carry yourself, how you love, and how you support them, and they will honor that. Those are the people you need to hold close. The ones who never make you question your value. For those who fail to see your worth when they had the chance, letting them go is the best thing you can do for both them and yourself. For them, it's a lesson and accountability. They need to learn that actions have consequences, and losing you is one of those consequences. For you, it's a matter of self-preservation. It's about keeping your standards high and refusing to settle for anything less than what you deserve. You deserve people in your life who see your value without needing to lose you to figure it out. People who uplift you, support you, and treat you with the respect you deserve. And when someone who failed to do that comes back, you have to remind yourself that your worth doesn't diminish just because they now regret their actions. Their regret is not your problem. It's not your job to fix them or give them another chance to make things right. Your worth is non-negotiable. It's something you carry with you at all times, and it's what should guide your decisions, especially when it comes to who you allow back into your life. You owe it to yourself to move forward, to continue growing, and to protect your peace. Let their regret be their burden, not yours. You know your worth, and that's all the validation you need. Losing someone or feeling like you've been left behind can be one of the most painful experiences in life. It shakes you to your core, forcing you to question everything: your choices, your worth, and sometimes even your direction in life. But what often feels like the end is, in reality, the beginning of something much greater. Loss, though painful, is often the catalyst for growth. It pushes you to reflect, rebuild, and ultimately become a better version of yourself. When someone leaves or betrays you, it's not just about what you've lost, it's about the opportunity that has opened up for you to evolve. Growth through loss is one of the hardest lessons life will teach you. It's difficult to see the potential for growth when you're in the midst of heartbreak or disappointment. But it's important to understand that every setback, every betrayal, every moment of being overlooked or abandoned holds within it the seed of transformation. When someone regrets losing you, it's often because they didn't expect you to grow without them. They thought you'd stay stagnant, that their departure would leave you broken. What they didn't realize is that loss is often the fuel that ignites the fire of self-improvement. It's natural to feel the weight of that loss, the pain, the confusion, the self-doubt. It's overwhelming, but with time, something shifts. You begin to realize that their absence has created space. Space for you to focus on yourself, to develop new skills, to strengthen your mindset, and to chase after goals that may have been pushed aside while you were busy prioritizing someone else. This is where the growth begins, often in the quiet moments when you're alone, forced to confront who you are and who you want to become. Being left behind or mistreated often triggers self-reflection. You start to evaluate your life choices, your relationships, and most importantly, how you see yourself. This reflection can be uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Growth doesn't come from comfort, it comes from challenge. And loss is one of life's biggest challenges. It makes you ask yourself hard questions. Who am I without them? What do I truly want in life? What have I been neglecting in myself to keep this relationship or connection alive? These questions lead to clarity, and with clarity comes the power to change. The beauty of growing through loss is that it's a journey of self-discovery. As you work through the pain, you start to recognize strengths in yourself that you may have never noticed before. You realize that you're capable of far more than you gave yourself credit for. You begin to set boundaries, prioritize your well-being, and pursue what makes you truly happy. And in doing so, you start to attract better opportunities, better people, and a better life. People who truly value you, situations that align with your goals. These things start to come into your life because you've raised your standards and learned to protect your peace. When someone regrets losing you, it's often because they see the growth that has happened in your life since they left. They see that you didn't crumble, in fact, you flourished. And that's the part they never expected. They thought their absence would leave a void in your life, but instead it created room for something far greater: self-love, self-respect, and self-empowerment. You've taken the pain they caused and turned it into power. You've taken their departure and used it as a stepping stone toward your own greatness. And here's the thing: growth through loss doesn't mean you forget the pain or dismiss what happened. It means you learn from it. Every painful experience leaves behind a lesson, and those lessons are what shape you into a stronger, wiser, and more resilient person. You learn what you're willing to tolerate and what you're not. You learn who you can trust and who you can't. Most importantly, you learn to trust yourself. You learn that no matter what happens, you have the ability to rise above it. When you grow through loss, you also develop a sense of independence that is unshakable. You stop relying on others for your happiness or your sense of worth. You realize that everything you need is already within you. And once you reach that point, no one can take it away from you. The people who left, the ones who didn't appreciate your value, they become a distant memory. They may regret losing you, but by then you've moved on. You've grown beyond the person you were when they knew you. You've evolved into someone who no longer fits into the small space they once occupied in your life. The journey of growth through loss isn't easy, but it's one of the most rewarding experiences you'll ever go through. It teaches you resilience, self-reliance, and the power of transformation. You come out of it stronger, wiser, and more confident in who you are and what you deserve. So when someone regrets losing you, don't take it as a sign to let them back into your life. Take it as confirmation that you've grown and moved beyond them. You've used the loss to fuel your growth, and that's something they can never take away from you. Keep growing, keep evolving, and never settle for less than you deserve. When someone has wronged you, it's easy for them to come back later, full of apologies and regrets. They may try to convince you that they've changed, that they now understand how important you are, and that they deserve another chance. But what you need to understand is this: actions have consequences. If someone hurt you, betrayed your trust, or undervalued you, they must face the results of their choices. Accountability is not just a moral obligation, it's a lesson that everyone must learn in life. Without accountability, people will continue to repeat the same behaviors not only toward you, but toward others as well. When people hurt you, they rarely think about the long-term consequences. They may act out of selfishness, insecurity, or a lack of respect for your feelings, assuming that you will always be there no matter what. They might believe that in time they can just apologize, say a few kind words, and everything will go back to the way it was. But when someone disrespects you, they need to understand that they've crossed a line, one that cannot be erased by mere words. They must sit with the reality that their actions have caused harm and that they no longer have access to your life the way they once did. This is where accountability becomes crucial. When someone loses you because of their behavior, they need to feel the weight of that loss. It's not about revenge, it's about making sure they learn from their mistakes. If they're never held accountable, they'll never change. They'll continue to go through life thinking that they can treat people poorly, offer a half-hearted apology, and everything will be forgiven. But that's not how life works, and it certainly shouldn't be how you operate. Allowing someone to escape the consequences of their actions doesn't do them or you any favors. It only sets them up to hurt you again, and it leaves you with unresolved pain. Accountability means that they need to recognize the full impact of what they did. It's not enough for them to say, "I'm sorry." They need to understand the emotional, mental, and sometimes even physical toll their actions have taken on you. They need to see that trust, once broken, is incredibly difficult to rebuild, and that in some cases it can't be rebuilt at all. When someone comes back into your life after hurting you, their regret is often more about their own discomfort than about the pain they caused you. They miss the benefits of having you in their life, the love, the support, the companionship, but they haven't truly considered the damage they've done. That's not real accountability, it's self-interest disguised as remorse. Holding someone accountable doesn't mean you hold on to anger or resentment. It doesn't mean you refuse to forgive. Forgiveness is for you to release the emotional burden, but forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean allowing someone back into your life without any consequences. When someone has hurt you, forgiveness can come, but trust and access must be earned. And in some cases, the best form of accountability is to walk away completely and let them live with the knowledge that their actions cost them a valuable relationship. Walking away doesn't mean you're bitter or holding on to anger. It means you value yourself enough to recognize when something or someone no longer aligns with your growth. It's about protecting your peace, honoring your boundaries, and refusing to settle for less than what you deserve. It's important to remember that accountability is a two-way street. You have to hold yourself accountable as well. This isn't just about the other person owning up to their mistakes. It's also about reflecting on your role in the dynamic. Have you communicated clearly? Did you set expectations early on? Were your boundaries firm, or did they waver under pressure? These questions matter because relationships are built on mutual effort. If one side consistently fails to show up, no amount of compromise from the other will fix it. Accountability starts with self-awareness, understanding where you stand, what you need, and whether those needs are being met. You have to ask yourself, what am I willing to accept? What are my standards? What boundaries have I set, and am I willing to uphold them, even when it's difficult? Setting boundaries isn't easy, especially if you're used to prioritizing others over yourself. But think of it this way, boundaries aren't walls, they're guidelines that protect your emotional well-being. They give people a clear understanding of how you expect to be treated. Without boundaries, resentment builds. With boundaries, respect grows. And once you've established them, sticking to them becomes non-negotiable. Otherwise, you risk sending mixed signals and enabling behavior that ultimately harms both parties. Sometimes, when people regret losing you, they'll come back with grand gestures and emotional apologies, attempting to win you over again. Maybe they shower you with promises, gifts, or heartfelt declarations. While these moments might tug at your heartstrings, true accountability means standing firm in your boundaries and not allowing yourself to be swayed by guilt or nostalgia. Remember, feelings aren't facts. Just because an apology feels sincere doesn't mean it guarantees change. Actions speak louder than words, and until someone demonstrates consistent effort to improve, their words remain hollow. You must respect yourself enough to say no. Saying no doesn't make you cold or unkind, it makes you wise. People often confuse kindness with weakness, assuming that giving someone another chance is inherently compassionate. But real compassion lies in holding people accountable for their choices. By saying no, you're actually doing them a favor. You're teaching them responsibility. They made their choice, and now they must live with the consequences. That's how personal growth happens. Shielding someone from the natural fallout of their actions only enables them to repeat the same patterns. When you hold someone accountable for their actions, you are teaching them a valuable life lesson. You are showing them that they cannot mistreat people and expect to be welcomed back with open arms. Respect, loyalty, and trust are not things to be taken lightly. They are earned through consistent actions, not fleeting words. Think about it. Would you hand over the keys to your car to someone who had repeatedly crashed it before? Probably not. The same principle applies to relationships. Trust is fragile, and once broken, rebuilding it takes time, patience, and proof that the person has changed, not just said they have. One of the hardest truths to accept is that some people won't grow, no matter how much you want them to. Not everyone is capable of introspection or willing to put in the work required to heal and evolve. And that's okay. It's not your job to save them. Your responsibility is to yourself. To protect your energy, nurture your spirit, and surround yourself with people who uplift and support you. Letting go of toxic individuals isn't punishment, it's liberation. It frees you to focus on those who genuinely appreciate and reciprocate your love and care. Let's talk about guilt for a moment, because it's often the biggest obstacle to walking away. Guilt whispers lies like, "But they didn't mean to hurt me," or "If I leave, I'll ruin their life." Here's the truth: staying in a situation that drains you doesn't help anyone. In fact, it keeps both of you stuck. You stay trapped in pain while they stay trapped in denial. Real healing begins when you step out of the cycle and allow space for reflection for both of you. Sometimes, distance is the only thing that forces someone to confront their behavior and consider whether they're ready to do better. Accountability also means recognizing red flags and addressing them head-on. Too often, we ignore warning signs because we hope things will magically improve. We tell ourselves, maybe they were having a bad day, or I should cut them some slack. But here's the thing: patterns don't lie. One mistake can be forgiven. Repeated harm indicates a deeper issue. Pay attention to how someone treats you during conflict, stress, or vulnerability. Those moments reveal their true character far more than their words ever could. Lastly, remember that walking away isn't failure, it's progress. It's choosing to prioritize your happiness and well-being over fear or obligation. It's acknowledging that you deserve relationships rooted in mutual respect, honesty, and care. When you walk away from toxicity, you create room for healthier connections to enter your life. You send a powerful message to yourself and others that you are worthy of love without conditions, effort without excuses, and trust without betrayal. In the end, forgiveness is possible, but it doesn't erase the past or guarantee a future. Forgiveness is for you, not for them. It's the act of releasing resentment so you can move forward unburdened. Trust, however, is different. Trust requires evidence, time, and consistency. And sometimes, despite forgiveness, trust simply cannot or should not be rebuilt. That's not a loss, it's wisdom. It's understanding that some chapters close because they're meant to, paving the way for new beginnings. By enforcing accountability, you are setting a standard not just for them, but for yourself as well. You are affirming that you deserve better and that you will not settle for less. This isn't about punishing someone or wielding power over them. It's about establishing a baseline of respect in every interaction. When you hold someone accountable, you're saying, "This is who I am, and this is how I expect to be treated." It's a declaration of self-worth that reverberates through all areas of your life. People take cues from the energy you project. If you allow disrespect, they'll assume it's acceptable. If you demand accountability, they learn to rise to the occasion or step aside. People often regret losing someone who brought value into their lives, but regret alone is not enough to warrant reconciliation. Regret is passive, a fleeting emotion that arises when reality hits too late. It's easy to feel sorry after the damage has been done, but true accountability requires action. Regret might make someone apologize, but accountability ensures they follow through with meaningful change. The difference lies in effort. Regret says, "I'm sorry," while accountability asks, "What can I do to make this right?" One is hollow without the other. Without accountability, regret becomes performative, an attempt to ease guilt rather than address harm. Regret is a starting point, but accountability is the process that follows. It's what separates genuine remorse from temporary discomfort. Genuine remorse compels someone to reflect deeply on their actions, acknowledge the impact, and commit to doing better. Temporary discomfort, on the other hand, prompts surface-level apologies designed to quickly restore equilibrium. The latter prioritizes convenience over authenticity, seeking resolution at any cost, even if it means glossing over the real issues. True accountability doesn't shy away from discomfort, it embraces it as part of the healing journey. If someone is truly sorry for what they've done, they will accept the consequences without trying to rush the process. They won't beg for forgiveness or pressure you to move on before you're ready. Instead, they'll give you space to process your emotions while quietly working on themselves. They'll understand that rebuilding trust, if it's even possible, takes time and consistent effort. Trust isn't rebuilt overnight. It's earned incrementally through small, deliberate actions that demonstrate reliability and sincerity. These actions must align with their words. Promises mean nothing without proof. And they will respect your boundaries, knowing that their actions have created a lasting impact on your part. Respecting boundaries shows maturity and empathy. It acknowledges that hurt doesn't vanish simply because an apology was offered. Even if forgiveness is granted, the scars remain, shaping how you view the relationship moving forward. A person who respects your boundaries understands this. They don't push for immediate closeness or act entitled to your time and attention. Instead, they patiently wait for you to decide what level of connection feels safe and appropriate. Enforcing accountability also teaches you something invaluable, that you have the power to shape your relationships. By refusing to tolerate subpar treatment, you set a precedent for future interactions. Others see how you handle conflict and adversity, and they adjust their behavior accordingly. Accountability creates healthier dynamics, not only in one relationship, but across all aspects of your social circle. Over time, you attract people who mirror your values, those who prioritize honesty, respect, and mutual growth. It's worth noting that accountability isn't always met with gratitude. Some people may resist it, viewing it as criticism or rejection. They might lash out, accuse you of being harsh, or try to manipulate you into lowering your standards. In these moments, staying firm is crucial. Remember, accountability isn't cruel, it's compassionate. It forces people to confront uncomfortable truths so they can grow. Yes, it can be painful, but pain is often the catalyst for transformation. Those who embrace accountability emerge stronger, more self-aware, and better equipped to navigate relationships responsibly. Ultimately, accountability serves as a mirror, reflecting both strengths and weaknesses. For the person being held accountable, it highlights areas where they need to improve. For you, it reinforces your commitment to self-respect and healthy boundaries. Together, these reflections foster personal growth and pave the way for deeper, more fulfilling connections. Whether or not reconciliation occurs, enforcing accountability leaves a lasting imprint, one that encourages everyone involved to strive for better, both individually and collectively. Holding people accountable ensures that you maintain your integrity and self-respect. It's a form of self-care because it protects you from further harm. It's a way of saying, I value myself enough to demand that others value me too. Accountability forces people to confront the reality of their actions, and in doing so, it helps them grow. But here's the thing, it's not your job to facilitate their growth at the expense of your well-being. You are under no obligation to carry someone else's emotional baggage while they figure things out, or worse, while they refuse to acknowledge what they've done wrong. Sometimes the greatest lesson you can teach someone is that they can't always have what they want, especially after they've disrespected or hurt you. Actions speak louder than words, and when someone chooses behavior that undermines your trust or violates your boundaries, holding them accountable sends a clear message. This isn't okay, and I won't tolerate it anymore. This doesn't mean being cruel or vindictive. Rather, it means standing firm in your truth and refusing to compromise on your values just to keep the peace. Real accountability happens when consequences align with actions, not through lectures or ultimatums, but through natural outcomes that reflect the weight of poor decisions. When they regret losing you, let them sit with that regret. Let it serve as a reminder that their actions have consequences, and those consequences are not yours to fix. Too often, we rush to soften the blow for people who haven't earned our compassion yet. We make excuses for them, give them second chances before they've even acknowledged their mistakes, or try to smooth over conflicts by minimizing our own feelings. But healing isn't about erasing discomfort, it's about confronting it head-on. When someone realizes the impact of their choices, it creates space for genuine reflection and change. And if they don't, that's their journey, not yours. Accountability also requires clarity. People need to know exactly where they stand with you. If you waver between setting boundaries and letting things slide, you create confusion, and unfortunately, confusion often leads to more of the same harmful behaviors. Be direct without being aggressive. For example, instead of saying, "You never listen to me," which can come across as accusatory, try framing it as, "I feel unheard when you interrupt me during conversations." This approach invites understanding rather than defensiveness. Clarity gives people the opportunity to step up or step away, but either way, it empowers you to take control of how you show up in relationships. It's important to recognize that accountability isn't punishment. It's not about making someone suffer or extracting revenge for how they've treated you. Instead, it's about creating an environment where mutual respect becomes non-negotiable. Think of it like tending to a garden. Weeds will continue to grow unless you pull them out at the root. Similarly, unresolved issues fester and spread until both parties address them honestly. By holding someone accountable, you're essentially pulling those weeds not only for your benefit, but potentially for theirs as well. But, and this is crucial, you must be prepared for all possible outcomes. Some people will rise to the occasion. They'll apologize sincerely, take responsibility for their actions, and work hard to rebuild trust. Others might lash out, deny any wrongdoing, or attempt to shift the blame onto you. Neither reaction should dictate your next steps. Your goal isn't to control how they respond, but to honor your own needs and boundaries regardless of their behavior. Remember, accountability isn't about changing someone overnight. It's about creating conditions where real growth can happen if they're willing to do the work. Letting go of the need to manage someone else's emotions is incredibly freeing. So many of us fall into the trap of thinking, if I explain myself better, maybe they'll understand why I'm upset. Or, if I just give them one more chance, they'll see how much they're hurting me. The truth is, most people already know the harm they're causing, they simply choose to ignore it or justify it. When you stop trying to convince them and start focusing on protecting yourself, something shifts. You reclaim your power. You stop waiting for validation from someone who may never offer it, and instead focus on validating yourself. This process isn't easy, especially if you're dealing with someone close to you, a partner, friend, family member, or coworker. Emotions run high and the stakes feel personal. But remember, accountability isn't personal. It's practical. It's about enforcing standards that protect your mental health and emotional stability. It's about recognizing that love, whether romantic, platonic, or familial, should never require you to sacrifice your dignity or suppress your voice. Healthy relationships thrive on mutual effort, respect, and accountability, not one-sided compromises or endless forgiveness without meaningful change. As you move forward, remind yourself that accountability works both ways. While you're holding others responsible for their actions, you must also hold yourself accountable for your role in any situation. Did you communicate your expectations clearly? Did you enforce your boundaries consistently? Were there moments when you could have spoken up sooner? Self-reflection is key to ensuring that accountability remains constructive rather than punitive. It's not about assigning blame. It's about fostering understanding and growth for everyone involved. Ultimately, accountability means letting them learn from their mistakes while you continue to grow, evolve, and move forward with your life. It means trusting yourself to navigate challenges with grace and resilience. It means knowing that you deserve relationships built on honesty, respect, and reciprocity, and having the courage to walk away from anything less. Growth isn't linear, and neither is accountability. There will be setbacks, misunderstandings, and moments of doubt. But each time you choose to prioritize your well-being and uphold your standards, you reinforce the foundation of who you are and what you stand for. In a world that often rewards people for taking shortcuts or avoiding responsibility, choosing accountability is radical. It's a declaration that you won't settle for less than you deserve. And sometimes that declaration speaks louder than anything else.